I'm Dave Heidenreich, and I'm chairman of the board of EBO Group. We started as Power Transmission Technology, a company that I founded with 4 financial backers and business partners in 1978 to provide something that was disappearing at the time, and that was a company that could provide specialty clutch and brake for heavy industry. There were a lot of small clutch and brake companies that had been bought out by large companies like Eaton and Dana, and they applied the big company mentality to doing specialty work and kind of dried up the desire to do it. And I saw a need. I had been working for Dana for 9 years, selling industrial clutches and brakes, and they started turning away business that I knew how to do, and somebody needed to do it. So I got together with a company called Ohio Brake and Clutch, who was my biggest distributor. And we, over a period of about 9 months, figured out how to start Power Transmission Technology as a separate corporation. To keep bread on the table, I did part-time sales for them while I got PT Tech started in the first 3 or 4 years. And the original owners of Ohio Brake and Clutch, 3 gentlemen, 2 of them are still on our board. One fellow's passed away, but they have been great business partners. So that was 1978. We're now have grown to 61 employees. We have about 15 graduate engineers. We're a very technical little company doing a lot of product development work. We first recognized the need for succession planning in the late 80s. 2 of our original investors, who owned a third of the company, were in their mid-70s. And we started to realize that we had to buy these 2 gentlemen out. And our first approach to doing that was just to take after-tax profit and buy their ownership, a piece of it, as we could afford to do it. And the first year we did that, we realized something. If we continued to do this, we were going to starve ourselves for cash for growth. So we started to explore other options for how we might do succession planning. And fortunately, the Ohio Employee Ownership Center was holding a seminar in Cleveland on succession planning and the ESOPs. And in probably late '89, myself and a couple of our members of our board went to that seminar, met some outstanding people that could advise us in this process. And we headed down the road. We compared it to other options that we would have for remaining independent. But everything we looked at was if we wanted to continue to grow, we would likely have to sell a significant chunk of the business to outsiders in order to maintain growth. And we really didn't want to do that. We wanted to remain independent. And we wanted to, actually all our original investors bought into the idea of turning this into an ESOP. We had a wonderful group of employees. At the time we had about 15 employees. And there was unanimous, it was a unanimous choice to go with the ESOP as the best way to do this transition of ownership. And I think that's the great thing about, especially in Ohio. Ohio has more ESOP companies than California, I understand. It's really, this is a great area for ESOP. I think there's a lot of company owners that have the kind of values that they want to see their employees succeed. They want to leave a legacy and not just take the top dollar for the company and run. It's a great area to do ESOPs. And the Ohio Employee Ownership Center at Kent State has been invaluable. That was 1989 when we did that first transaction. We were about a $2.5 million company at the time, a little over $2 million. We started ESOP in 1990. We've probably grown to almost 3 million. We're now in excess of $20 million. So we've transitioned about almost 60% of the stock of ownership of the company in that period of time, and we've grown the company at the same time. That's a wonderful accomplishment. I think it's something that we're all around here. We're all proud of that growth and the culture that's resulted from all the challenges we've had to face to have that growth. At the time that we decided to do the ESOP, our primary issue was succession planning and how to transfer basically 2/3 of the ownership of the company over a period of about 15 to 20 years. And the ESOP really made the most sense for doing that and keeping the company independent in doing that. So that was really our primary focus. Are there some benefits that we've gained in addition to that? Absolutely. I mean, we knew it would be a great motivation for employees, but we already had good success planning, or success sharing, excuse me, within the company. We already had a pension plan, we already had a profit sharing plan, and we already had a year-end cash bonus that we shared with the employees. So those things were in place. The additional benefits we gained, and we didn't realize them initially when we did it, we realized a year or two down the road that we had the opportunity to pay a dividend on that stock. So the stock ownership in the ESOP would be more than just a retirement benefit, and it would be a benefit that the longer you were with the company, the more you would gain ownership, and the more you'd gain a dividend benefit from the stock ownership. So that ended up being a very good additional way of sharing the success of the company. In addition to that, from a personal basis, the thing that I've gained from the ESOP and the way that we're doing the succession planning is I was able to I was able to design my favorite job within the company. I didn't have to stay president of this thing. And Keith Nichols was elected president in 1995, and I became chairman of the board and chief technology officer for the company as far as new development goes. And that's where I really enjoyed spending my time. That was the thing that was my highest value in the company. It wasn't doing all the things of being president, of wrestling with all the day-to-day problems and all. Keith is far better at doing that than I am. And so I've been able to design a role for me within the company that really allows me to provide my highest input in the company. We've expanded with lots of new product since I've done that. But keeps me wanting to be part of this company long term. So I'm 64 with absolutely no plans to retire because this place is too much fun. It's a great place to be. It's a place you look forward to coming to work every day. I think we're very fortunate in the people that came together to help make it happen. I don't think I would do anything differently from this day I started the company. The partners that we brought in to start this thing, our financial backers and partners, have been great people that have been with us from the beginning and still enjoy. The two other remaining of the four, the two other folks that remain alive and kicking, are still active in the business. Keith and I just spent this morning for 2 hours on the phone doing what we call our EBOs. This might be interesting for you people to understand. EBOs, the name of our company, comes from a process that was started in 1984. And we named it, Keith actually named it EBO, it's a takeoff on MBOs, Management by Objective, EBO standing for Excellence by Objective. And every person in the company sits down with their supervisor every quarter with a list of things that they want to do above and beyond their normal duties. And they get that list gets prioritized, added to by their supervisor, modified, whatever needs to happen, and that becomes their EBO assignment for the quarter. And the first thing they do at the next EBO is to see how they did on the last one, and then roll the things that need to get done into the next one. It's a process that everybody in the company embraces. It's not. This is a fun hour they spend with their supervisor. This is about. These are the things I want to do. These are the challenges I want to take on. These are the place I want to grow into. These are the things that need to be done to make this place work better. So every quarter we have virtually hundreds of things being done by employees on their own. It's a fantastic process, and it works so good that in 2006, when we decided that we needed to rename the company to make it stand for something besides power transmission, EBO Group made a lot of sense, and EBO stands for Excellence by Owners. When it's time for me to retire, there won't be an issue that the people will approach me and let me know that that's going to be the case. We have a very open board of directors, and the rule is if you got something on your chest, you talk about it. You're getting away for 3 days once a year, away from the building, work on long-term planning. One of these days, in one of those sessions, I expect somebody's going to say, Heidenreich, how much longer are you going to be fooling around here? What are you doing here? And that'll be a good discussion. I mean, my role within the company has continually shrunk since I started the company. I don't have a title on my card today. I didn't have a title on it when I started the company, because when I started, I was everything, including the janitor. Now I still wear lots of hats. I'm 64 years old. With absolutely no desire to retire from this business. And as long as I'm able to really bring value to what I do here, I love working on the new technology things. I love the challenges of making something work that nobody's ever made work before. As long as my mind still works well at doing that, I see myself involved. Will I be involved at the same level? Probably not, because I've got to mentor and bring other people along to do that too, and we've got a lot of really good young engineering talent I enjoy doing that with. But I can be mentoring and involved in those projects long term at a pace that makes sense for me. And for a business owner who's worked his life at creating something, to have him be able to play a part in it and mentor his people to take it to another level, there's just a tremendous amount of satisfaction in doing that. I would encourage business owners to, as they look at how they want to exit the business, to really explore early enough the idea of doing an ESOP and just the many benefits that the business owner will gain from doing that he can stay involved and leave a legacy, leave something that will really be good for his employees and good for the world that he left behind when he leaves it behind.
When I first came to the company, we were not an ESOP. That started in 1981. In 1990, we became an ESOP. At that point in time, I was Vice President of Operations of then PT Tech. The ESOP was put in place as a long-term transition plan for the company, and I became president in 1995, and really took on the responsibility of doing the continuation of the long-term projections and the continuation of the ESOP as the long-term succession plan. With respect to transition to being an ESOP, I'm I believe it was fairly easy for our company. A lot of the success sharing programs that we had in place before we were in ESOP, we continued. So we had a very good culture within the building already of sharing success and doing what was best for the organization, because everybody did share very well in those programs. Beyond that, once we became an ESOP, we started a very low percentage ESOP owned. We were 15% ESOP owned in the first transaction. And we transferred that to 30% in the early 90s. Then we started having some very serious discussions on our board about how do we transition it from 30 on up to approach 100% employee ownership. And during that time period, a lot of issues came to the table. How do you buy out the older employees and make it fair for them? How do you transition the management ownership so that they have a stake in how well the company does going forward and how they participate? And once we went over 50% ownership in the ESOP, what was that going to do to the management style, or at what point do the participants in the ESOP have a bigger part in how the company is managed, either as board members or voting rights and so on. So there is a lot of issues, but they're all solvable. As far as cultural issues and bringing employees in, that's probably the biggest challenge for us as an ESOP. Most of the time we hire people, they are not coming from an ESOP environment. Therefore, that you're really having to teach them what an ESOP is all about, what the management style is, why we have that management style, what the benefits are being an ESOP. And we spend a lot of time and effort in training the employees about ESOPs. We have an ESOP committee that spends a lot of time with new employees to get them to fit in with the rest of the organization and how we operate day to day. I think the biggest benefit of us being an ESOP is that all the employees are rowing in the same direction. They know that if the company is successful, they're going to participate. They know that if they all do their jobs well, and they know what their job is very well. We do a good job of doing job descriptions and trying to keep people pointed in the right direction. They know if they do that well, the company is going to be successful and they're going to participate. And they've seen a history of that participation, which goes back to the new employees. If you have a history of good participation and people actually getting benefit out of being in the ESOP and being a participant in the ESOP, they're your best advocates for the new employees, and they'll absorb them into the organization themselves. And they're also your best police person, because if somebody's not going to fit in and somebody is not pulling their weight as part of the ESOP doing their job, you'll know about it. And therefore you have two choices. You either have to change that employee or you get them better trained and bring them up to speed to where people think they're contributing in the way that everybody wants them to contribute. I definitely believe the ESOP was the right choice for us. I don't think we've had any real major surprises along the way that have really caused us any issue. The biggest issue we have going forward is whether or not we remain a C Corp, or how quickly we jump to being an ESOP S Corp and go to 100% ownership. But those are good problems. And again, it's just plays right in line with the long-term transition. So, but they're all, again, those things are all solvable also.